Thank you for coming to Art Atrium today for our 3 solo exhibitions. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Today we've got 3 concurrent solo exhibitions by 3 Chinese female artists. So we're going to have 3 separate openings, one after the other. But the first one is Bingbing Chen. She's been showing with us for a couple of years now, and this is her latest work. She was known for doing a lot of very interesting, delicate, and detailed drawings, but in this current series of work, she basically decided to do something totally different. It's installation reusing plastic bags, so the exhibition is called Reimagine. And so she decided to put the plastic bags into good use, so it's recycled art in a way. So to open the exhibition, unfortunately, Bingbing's father had suddenly taken ill in China, so she actually had to fly back to China just a couple of days ago. So she won't be able to be here actually for the duration of the exhibition. But to open the exhibition for us, we have Nick Sudas, who is an independent curator. Nick is a good friend of mine. We have worked together on various projects, and but obviously, as you all know, he's a former director of the SCA Galleries and also Art Space in the early days. So I'd like you all to welcome Nicholas Sudas. You don't have to if you don't want to.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks, Simon, for the opportunity to talk today. And, and it's a little bit sad when an artist is not able to attend their own opening, and particularly when they've made a new body of work. I think, sort of as Simon has suggested, that the works are kind of self-explanatory because she's working with recycled materials like plastics, rebirthing them, renegotiating the possibilities that are invested in a plastic bag, giving them an aesthetic sort of life that exceeds the plasticity of the plastic bags themselves. And the consequence of that is obviously dealing with environmental issues and sustainability, and questions that we all collectively should be thinking about, and how we invest our lives in our own futures, because I think work like this is about the future, and it's about artists who are very much concerned with not only their practice as artists, but the world which we inhabit is becoming crucially and significantly more important day by day, because the problems aren't going away, and clearly we need to redress them individually and collectively. So I think the works speak for themselves quite a bit. But they also, when I was looking at them a bit earlier, that they also remind me of static, the noise, background noise, the noise that sort of like functions without form, noise that is the things that fills the gaps between silence and spoken word or any formal sort of sound. That sort of like noise for me is very, very, very interesting, because it also implies other things. Noise sort of like, for me, implies the politics of change. And so when I look at static, I think of things like interference or disturbance, and that disturbance is unsettling, because we all want a good quality reception on our television or radio, and we all get annoyed when it suddenly goes into static and the picture breaks up or the sound breaks up, and that it upsets our notion of what formal representation is. So these questions of static that I observe in here is sort of like noise that starts asking different things, and why art matters when we start looking and thinking about work like this. And it's sort of becomes important because we can't keep doing things the way that we've been doing things, or we used to doing things historically, because the future is very tenuous and becoming increasingly more precarious. The future is unstable, just like static interferes with things. The future is now being interfered with. And when I look at these works, I don't only think about the aesthetic potential and possibilities that they function in, but I also start thinking sort of beyond themselves, sort of extending the capacity of the argument of recycling and environmentalism into other areas, and those other areas are about our collective futures. And noise, when people make noise, I think is the moment when we create lines of resistance, when we create spaces for the need for change. And what these works remind me of when I look at them is they remind me for the urgent need for change, that these questions are not going away, and that we have to start thinking differently about our own futures and the world that we inhabit, because it's no longer something that we should take for granted. So someone like Bingbing is really quite profoundly sort of like making a statement with her art, that her art's not only for digestion and consumption in commercial exchange worlds or aesthetic terminologies. It's actually sort of extends the capacity of what it means to be an artist and why artists make work. And in saying that, she made a statement for something I curated several years ago, and I'd like to read it because it actually says something about her, and I think it's important to have her words, her presence here today. I've always known life is a long road. Before embarking on the journey of life, we need to master skills. Painting is the only skill I've mastered, a good one for that matter. Strange, because she's working painting in plastic and that. But of course, observing and analysing the world is an extra skill that I have, and hope that armed with these skills I hold a sword that can cut worldly hypocrisy. Some people are good at writing, others better at musicality. They are but different languages for the communication of what sits inside us. For a long time I groped in the darkness for the language and explored in the field of observation, in the field of arts for a skill that could help convey what I feel to be the meaning of our existence. My observations tell me things change, new rules apply, and little stays the same. Your world is often not my world, and my world of lines and colours is replete with its own logic. My world does not need an explanation, and it does not work in accordance with your reason. With my language, I'm fearless and reckless and can't stop jumping. I feel myself blooming like a flower and bursting like a balloon. Let me open a door and fill the world with my parallel lines and plate them. Whenever necessary, my lines constitute an extreme complex network full of strength. They make a powerful, omnipotent world. This is the world of art that I pursue. And when Simon asked me to speak, I looked at this exhibition again and thinking of the words that she wrote, and I felt that they were as relevant to this exhibition as they were to any other exhibition. And what's interesting is she explains herself, right, why she makes art, why she thinks differently, and why art matters to her, and why art should matter to all of us. And particularly when art is the art of noise and the art of politics and resistance, where we're talking about change and change matters, then her words become increasingly significant. So I welcome you to her exhibition and to what I think are absolutely beautiful works, beautifully technically done, and they are not only beautiful, but we need to think of what they do and why she's made them in the first place. And in closing, I want to close with perhaps a little bit inconsistent, but I think very consistent. A number of you would be aware of the musician Tom Waits, and Tom Waits was asked by his child, and you know that's a hard thing to imagine, because if you know Tom Waits' life, he was quite radical sort of guy, and one never imagined that he would have a child, but he did. And his son asked him, why are you not like other dads? And why do you sort of like do the things you do? And they're all strange things. And Tom Waits thought about it, and it's a really interesting question. And he said, look, it's a little bit like, you know, you go into a forest, and you know, why I make my art is like going into a forest and you see a straight tree and you see a crooked tree. And the straight tree says to the crooked tree, oh, you're so strange because you're all crooked, and here I am straight, going straight up. And you know, I think the metaphor is quite clear, and I'm so proud that I'm a very straight tree. And then, you know, and then sort of like the foresters and the woodcutters came through, and they're looking for the trees to cut down. And the foresters said, cut down all the straight ones, right? And so they did. Today, those crooked ones still stand and survive. And I think sort of like for me, what it meant was that artists have a different way of thinking, a different way of looking at language, and a different way of being, that they ask a different set of questions, and those different set of questions are the questions that we need to be asking now. So it's good to be crooked.